Hello and welcome, lovely people. I hope all is well with you. My name is Melissa, and without taking up too much of your time, I'd like to talk you through 4 reasons as to why it's important to build a strong sense of self. But before we begin, and a little heads up, everything that I discuss on this channel is based on my own personal experiences, personal reflections, and my own life lessons that I have learned. So if there are bigger challenges that you might be grappling with, I suggest speaking to a licensed therapist or psychologist. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's dive into it, shall we? Who am I? Who are you? Who are we? That is the question I'll be grappling with on this channel. So I've always been very fascinated by the subject of identity. I think that at different points in our lives, we've all struggled with an identity crisis of sorts. It may not be something as extreme as an identity crisis, but as you transition from childhood to adolescence, from adolescence to adulthood, and go through different stages in life experiences as you age, I think we all grapple with this question of, who am I? And trying to understand who we are a little bit better. My own crisis of identity had sparked a journey of self-reflection, which I had unpacked in great detail on my blog, The Diaspora Baby, which I have linked in the description below. And I strongly encourage you to check out the blog because it will give you a good sense as to why I've come to this point and wanted to start this channel on this particular subject matter. If you are a third culture kid, I think that you will especially find a lot of interest and value from the channel as well, but more on the TCK stuff a little bit later. So on this channel, and in this video especially, we're going to be diving into identity and sense of self. After years of blogging and after a very transformative personal growth course that I did in 2022, just before I turned 30, I've been reflecting on who I am. And as I settle into my 30s, just trying to understand more and more of who I am as a person and feel like I'm getting there and continually just kind of getting a better understanding every single day of what makes me tick and what makes me me. And I'm very, very excited to be going on this journey with you in all of these videos. So before we get into a bit more of the detail with the video, I thought I'd also give a little definition of sense of self, which I got from Healthline, and I'm going to paraphrase a little bit here. So your sense of self is essentially how you perceive your identity. That includes your personality traits, your values, your beliefs, your likes and your dislikes, all the things that make up who you are as a person. So if you have a strong sense of self, it then means, of course, that you have a deep understanding of who you are as a person and you truly know who you are. Personally, cultivating a solid sense of self, I think, has been really, really valuable and important for me as regards to understanding what drives me. What is it that I want out of my career, out of friendships, out of romantic relationships, what I want out of my life in general, and so much more. So I don't think it's something that you should take for granted at all, and I'm going to explain to you exactly why I think so. Here are my 4 reasons as to why it's important to develop a strong sense of self. Number 1, knowing yourself very well enables you to live a life of purpose. And what do I mean by that? Well, when you have a solid understanding of who you are as a person, you are able to set and pursue meaningful life goals. In other words, you're able to come to a place where you have found what it is your reason for getting up out of bed each morning. Having an appreciation for your flaws, your strengths, your weaknesses, your limitations, your abilities, your talents, and even understanding the boundaries that you have set for yourself, which all comes from knowing who you are as a person, means that you have a better understanding of what your place in the world is. So how I see it is that when you have a good grasp on all the things that make up who you are, you're able to come closer to coming to what you feel is the life that you would like to live, what your legacy is, effectively, where you feel you want to go and what you feel like your life should look like in the present moment and in the future as well. And so having that solid grasp on that sense of self enables you to come quicker to that purpose and come close to that purpose. It enables you to also understand how far you're willing to go in the pursuit of that purpose, what you need to do and in what areas you need to improve in order to be able to kind of fulfill that purpose and to fulfill that destiny that you see is set out for you. And so the way I see it is that understanding who you are is, I think, the very foundation of finding what your purpose is. To try and help drive the point home a little bit further, I'll draw on my own personal experiences without giving away too much, because I also am a bit superstitious about revealing too much about my goals and plans in life. But that's just me. So, for example, I would say that one of my talents and one of my skills is writing. I have received a lot of praise for my writing. I've been told that I write very well and very eloquently, and I've always enjoyed the medium of writing. So it definitely is something that I think, in terms of talents, also something that really aligns with what I actually enjoy. And so, in all of the jobs that I have had up until this point, a lot of them have had a writing focus and research focus as well, because I really enjoy research as well. I'm a very curious person. I love to explore and understand more about the world around me. And so research jobs and writing jobs really enable me to kind of understand, to really get to grips with that and help me understand people a lot better, help me understand places and situations throughout history, etc. And so for me, understanding that that is what I'm good at, and that's also something that I really like and enjoy, is something that I have found and cultivated a bit of some purpose around. I've cultivated a career out of playing to that particular strength and that talent. Whereas I would see that at times one of my limitations or weaknesses is that I can get really, really terribly anxious and nervous when it comes to public speaking. And I'm trying to be a lot better at it and challenging myself through this YouTube channel and through a lot of other endeavors to kind of get my voice out there from the writing form to the medium of voice, and to really kind of getting it out there in videos, etc., and trying to develop and build and cultivate that skill. So that's just a little example just to help you understand a little bit better as to why understanding who you are is a great way, and an important way, actually, sorry, not a great way, and a crucial way to coming to purpose and to understanding and setting goals that align very well with who you are as a person. Number 2, when you know yourself very well, it enables you to stay true to yourself, and in turn helps you make better life choices. When you understand your values and your belief system, and you are very steadfast about living through them and sticking to them and defending them when need be, you're less likely to do things that you don't want to do, things that will kind of put you in a compromising position where you have to put those values on the line, or to deviate from those values when they are put to the test. It also helps you set and keep boundaries, which is something that I'm continually learning and continually struggling with, especially as someone who is trying to stop being a people pleaser. I'm sure the people pleasers amongst you all will know exactly what I'm talking about, the struggles. But you can't actually set boundaries if you don't have a good sense of what you are trying to defend in the first place in terms of your values and your belief systems. It makes it very difficult for you to say no to people, and very difficult for you to set parameters around protecting your personal integrity, your space, your time, if you don't have a good sense of what your values and your beliefs actually are. So having a strong sense of self means that you can stand firm in your truth, and you will not accept things that will not serve you. Number 3, a strong sense of self fosters self-confidence. You can't be confident in who you are if you don't know who you are. Some of the most confident people who I know are people who are able to laugh at themselves, are people who are able to say that they are not able to do something, but they know somebody else who is. There's someone who's able to understand and take critique as something that can help build them rather than something that can kind of break them down. And they also have a better appreciation and understanding of what is just straight up just, negative feedback, and what is actually constructive criticism, which will enable them to grow and to continue to blossom as a person. Having an appreciation for the fact that you are an imperfect human being who makes mistakes and who stumbles from time to time and can't be everything to everyone is very critical in achieving self-confidence. I say this because your flaws are a very important part of who you are. They're an important part of making up who you are. And it's so important that we do not disregard that side of ourselves. We can there's no real merit, I think, in value in just focusing on the positive. Embracing your flaws and improving in areas where you can improve, also knowing that you are a human being and you will continually make mistakes, and playing to your strengths in particular means that you actually embrace all of who you are. And that is the key to self confidence. It's very exhausting and also terrible for your mental health to constantly pursue perfection and to constantly ignore and try to avoid thinking about your weaknesses and your flaws, because it's very unattainable to try and be perfect, of course. And the key that to me is the key to being self-confident, because if you can truly get to grips with every single part of you and you can accept every single part of you, including the parts that you don't really have, that you would rather not have to deal with, if you are able to confront that head on and identify areas that you can improve upon, then you are able to really be confident in who you are as a person. And nobody can tell you who you are. Nobody can take that away from you. Lastly, knowing who you are means that you can cultivate and curate a public and private image that is authentic to you. Think about it this way. How can you show the world who you are and show up as your real and authentic self if you don't know who you are as a person? So when I speak about public image, I'm talking about not just like personal brand, but and I mean it also can tie to personal brand, but more so just who you are to people in your workplace settings, to your family, to your friends, that kind of public image and public kind of not persona, but more public image, like just outward facingly who you are as a person to different groups of people, as a professional, as a partner in a romantic relationship, as a friend, as a sibling, as a child to your parent, etc. But that being said, about the importance of this, public image kind of reflecting who you are when you're in private as well, we all also have to wear masks sometimes. We do have to hide certain parts of ourselves depending on the circumstances, when the circumstances call for us to do so. But we'll talk more about that in a later video. What I mean by that is that you can't really show your entire self all the time. I'll give one of the most obvious examples of this being in a workplace setting. There's certain professional etiquette that you have to adhere to when you are in professional spaces. You can't, for example, maybe behave entirely the same way that you are with your friends if you're someone maybe uses language that would be inappropriate in a workplace setting, but maybe amongst your friends is not really seen as something of a big deal. I'm not really talking about anything kind of like, I'm not talking about sexism or homophobia or anything like that. Definitely not. Should not be, kind of spewing that kind of hatred in any circle. But what I'm talking about is more kind of cursing or maybe using certain slang terminologies that you can't always, if you are in meetings with I don't know, maybe partners or with clients, etc. You're not going to use that language, the same language that you use with your friends, unless that is what the workplace is like. There are plenty of workplaces where people are very lax about cursing, and it's not really. It depends on your industry, depends what professional setting it is. But the point is, went off on a bit of a tangent there. Sorry. The point is that the private persona basically should match with the public as much as possible. So who you are at your core should match with who you are in public facing settings. The values that you hold dear should be consistent throughout your private life and in your public life as well. And that belief system should be the same. There should not be a huge disparity between the two. But essentially what I'm trying to get at by saying this is that you should be able to face yourself in the mirror and look at yourself and say that you like what you see. You should be able to recognize the person who's staring back at you when you do look in the mirror. You should be able to have a sense that who you are showing up as in the world is no different, or at least is very, very similar to who you are in private as well. And having a solid sense of self enables you to be able to do so and to be able to show to show up to people and to be around people in a way that is the most authentic version of who you are at your core as a person. So those are my 4 reasons as to why developing a strong sense of self is so important. There's definitely a lot more to unpack and explore in this regard, but for me, these were the 4 kind of reasons that I felt encompassed all of why it's so crucial and so critical to understand who you are as a person. And in the next video, I'll be diving into how to develop this strong sense of identity and building this sense of self. If you found this video to be enjoyable, inspiring, informative, or educational, then please do give it a thumbs up. And if you are so inclined, then please also leave a comment. I'd love to know your thoughts. What do you think about building a strong sense of self? Do you think it is something that is important and integral for your life? What other reasons do you think it's necessary beyond the ones that I've mentioned to build a strong sense of self? I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. It's much appreciated, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.